Now that you have your file saved, the next thing that you're going to want to do, and that I'm going to explain, is having a module set for your program application. It's very important to keep your programming code very organized, especially when working with a VBA application, because as your project gets larger and larger, it's going to be very difficult to keep track of your code unless you have it well organized. Even when it's well organized, it can be a challenge. And the way I keep my code set up is all in one module. And so now with your user form in front of you and the VBA environment in front of you, just go to this drop down arrow that's to your top left and select the drop down and do module. I'll have a brand new module created, and I'm just going to name the module to program module. You can rename it to whatever you like as long as it doesn't have any spaces and no special characters. I'm going to do program module, hit enter. So now when I build any kind of coding, I'm going to actually set it up in here, and I'll give you a real quick demonstration on how that's going to work. So under program controls, where I have test 1, I'm going to double click this, and I'm just going to call this call first macro. Now there isn't any kind of macro or coding that's called first macro, but what we can do is go to our program module, and all you do is you type in it's very simple, don't get overwhelmed. It's just typing in sub first macro, do open parentheses, close parentheses, and here's where you can write out the code. So I can just put message box hello world, but yeah, no, we're not going to do hello world, sorry about that. Let's just do an actual Internet Explorer application, because that's something that we're going to be doing a lot in this video. I'm just going to erase the hello world, we don't need that. My apologies again, guys. Paste this, the code that I have already, and this is just calling the Internet Explorer application. We'll do object IE .navigate, and we'll put Google for right now, put HTTP, and let's go on. And again, this is sub first macro, and sub was to automatically paste it for us. And here I'm just putting in this code, and we'll go back to our user form. So now under command button 1, instead of having all that code written out, all we're doing is saying call first macro. So I'm going to hit F5, play. So if I click test 1, we'll see that code's executed. And I'm going to close out that window, close out my window. And if I wanted to create another piece of code, I mean, I can just do copy and paste this. I'm going to just move it down. I can just type in sub next macro, open parentheses, close parentheses, and just hit enter. So again, it'll automatically create the end sub part. It puts a line in between the procedures. I'm going to copy and paste this code. This one I'm just going to call it, I'm going to just say AOL.com, and this is called next macro. So I'm going to go back to my user form, click test 1, and instead of saying call first macro, I'm just going to say call next macro and hit F5. Now if I call it, it's going to give me AOL.com. So I'm going to close that out. Just wanted to give you that quick demonstration that you really want to work with a module, that because we want to keep our coding organized, and even at that, everything will be all in this one specific file. That way at any point, if you ever want to use this module for another application, all you have to do is select it and do export file, and you'll be able to save that file into anywhere on your workstation. And then later on you can import that into another VBA application where it can be used. It's very efficient, and it will make your programming life a lot easier.